Welcome, everyone. I'm really glad to have you all here as we begin this journey together towards achieving your goal of becoming a qualified and a confident teacher. We are going to divide these classes into different sessions. Each session will cover important topics in a systematic manner, focusing on accuracy, time management, conceptual understanding. So, by the end of this course, you are going to gain the confidence and knowledge which you require to perform effectively in the examination and in your future teaching career. So, let us begin with the session with commitment and clear focus on our goal, that is, to become a competent and dedicated educators. So, the first class which we're going to deal with is about the concept of teaching. So, teaching has a lot many meaning of it, but always remember teaching is multidimensional. Okay, it is multidimensional and it is going to have a range of theories, it is going to have objectives, uh, it is going to have process and the characteristics which are actually required to impart the knowledge, impart the skills and values which we require to be given to the student so that we can make him or her a better individual, which that too we can say in par with the norms of the society, yeah, and the educational standards. So remember, teaching is basically multi-dimensional. It is multi-dimensional. Okay, multi-dimensional. So what and all are going to be there? There is going to be range of theories. There is going to be objectives. There is going to be processes and characteristics. Okay, and together we are going to take it and we are going to shape how the knowledge, skill, values are going to be delivered, and how are we going to make them a better individual. So teaching is basically a systematic process. That is what we can say. Teaching is a systematic process of imparting the knowledge, imparting the skills and values to learners. Okay, and because of that we are going to make a better individual, that in an intellectual level, in a personal level, as well as in a societal level. Okay, so that is about the a little bit of teaching. Now coming to the nature and characteristics of teaching. So talking about nature of teaching, we know teaching is basically a dynamic process. Okay, or you can say, yeah, dynamic or a social process. So whenever we talk about the nature of teaching, okay, always remember that it integrates both art and science. Like, how is the art coming over here? That is requiring creativity, intuition, and empathy. And how is science coming? It involves systematic techniques, it involves planning, it involves evaluation. So, teaching is both an art as well as a science. Okay, so teaching is a dynamic and a social process. Okay, wherein we are going to constantly adapt actually to whatever the learners need, whatever the society demands us. And also see, initially in the early ages there was a blackboard and a chalk probably. Right now it is not like that. We have the projectors, we have the smart classes and all that. So technological advancements have occurred, and the teaching is a continuous process which adapts to all these changes which is taking place. Okay, so teaching is a dynamic, it's a social process constantly adapting to learners needs, societal demands and technological advancements. And both I have mentioned, teaching is a both, okay, art and science. It is both art and science. Teaching is purposeful. Again, now what are we aiming to do after teaching? We're going to be we're going to bring about, behavioral, attitudinal, intellectual change in the learners. That is very much important. Behavioral change, attitudinal change, and intellectual changes in the learners. Okay, so and it is teaching is both individual and collective activity. So teacher is involved, the learners are involved, that the students are involved, the curriculum, the environment, all of these are going to play a very much important role in teaching. And teaching occurs in diverse context. You can say it happens in formal classrooms, informal settings, remote platforms like what we are going to do right now, and it and is influenced by social, cultural, and psychological factors. Okay, so these are the nature. Coming to the characteristics of teaching, see, characteristic of teaching. Teaching is is shaped by the shaped by and shapes the society. Okay, so society plays a very much important role in our teaching. So Teaching is a social and cultural process which is shaped by and aimed at societal values. Very much important. It is planned and purposeful activity. Teaching, it just like today I wake up and say that today I'm going to teach that. That is not enough. It should be planned and purposeful activity. That is. The process is information centric because we are going to provide the students with knowledge, right? Which they may not get it if at all they are, alone over there, or they cannot acquire independently. So process is information centric. The student is going to get the knowledge from us which they cannot or they may not acquire independently. Teaching is interactive because both the teacher and learner actively participate in the process. It facilitates learning and development in intellectual, moral, and physical dimensions. Teaching aims to modify students' behavior because so that they get aligned with that of the society as well as the educational goals. See, societal norms are there, educational standards are there. So teaching is going to modify the students' behavior so that they get fit into it. Okay, it is both an art, I have already mentioned, because it requires creativity and intuition, and a science because it demands systematic planning and methodological, execution. And the practice of teaching can take many forms: formal, informal, instructional training, conditioning, and even indoctrination. All these are important. Next one, coming to one of the important topics, and that is objectives of learning. So, what is an objective of learning? See, before that, just remember any kind of objective of a particular teaching, okay, should be specific. It should be outcome oriented. Okay, it should be outcome oriented, as well as it should be measurable. These three important points are the, because of this, with the help of this, we can make an objective. So it should objective should be specific, objective should be outcome oriented, and it should be measurable. Okay, so here we have two people. One is Bloom, as well as the other one is Gagne and Briggs. Now these both have given different set of objectives of teaching. We'll be learning one by one in the upcoming class, but right now just remember these two names. Okay, so coming to the main thing, that is the objectives of learning. So one thing which is there, that we have levels of objective: primary objective, secondary objective, and tertiary objective. Let us see what and all comes under the primary. Under the primary, we have knowledge acquisition. Okay, knowledge acquisition. We have skill development, as well as we have understanding and comprehension. Knowledge acquisition, skill development, and understanding and comprehension. Coming to the secondary objective, okay, wherein we have application of the knowledge. Then we have development of higher thinking skills. Development of higher thinking skills, as well as social development. Okay, social development. Lastly, that's a tertiary one, in which we have preparation for employment, lifelong learning, contributing to society, academic independence, research skills, okay, research skills, and the critical thinking ability. Research skills and critical thinking ability comes under these. So these are the objectives of teaching. Okay, so remember, an objective should be specific, outcome oriented, and measurable, wherein we are going to have primary, secondary, and tertiary objective. Primary objective is knowledge acquisition, skill development, and understanding and comprehension. Secondary is about application of knowledge, development of higher thinking skills, and societal or social development. Tertiary, preparation for employment, lifelong learning, contributing to society, academic independence, research skill, and critical thinking ability, very much important. So these are the objectives of learning. So before we go into the Bloom's and the Gagné and Briggs criteria, let us see a little bit about the levels of teaching. So teaching takes place at 3 levels progressively, like memory level, we have understanding level, and reflective level. Okay, so memory level is been proposed by Herbert. Herbert is the person who has proposed it. Okay, now memory level actually represents the initial stage of teaching. Okay, wherein this particular level of teaching encourages rote memorization of facts and the information. Memorizing the facts and information is all about it. Okay, they're going to memorize it, and whenever it is there, they're going to reproduce it in the material, probably through oral examination, written or essay type of examination. That is how we are going to evaluate this memory level of teaching. Okay, good memory, very much important. Okay, rapid learning, all these are going to be there in the memory level. Okay, so recall, recognition and retention, these are the main three things in this particular memory level: recall, recognition and retention. Next one, a little more higher, that is understanding level. So in case of an understanding level of teaching, first let us see who proposed it, and that is by Morrison. Morrison is the main proponent for the understanding level of teaching. Now it goes a little more beyond this memorizing. So what does that mean? We're going to tell the students to understand. They're going to understand the facts, understand the principles which have been told to them, and do the generalizations. Okay, understanding of the generalizations, understanding of the principles been taught to them, understanding the facts. Okay, they just don't memorize blindly. They're going to understand it and then they're going to keep it in mind. Okay, understanding of generalizations, understanding of the principles, and understanding of the facts. That is what understanding level means. Okay, because see, that means what? With the help of understanding level of teaching, we are developing the intellectual behavior of the students. Okay, a little more behavior oriented one. Okay, intellectual behavior oriented one. Okay, so how are we going to evaluate it? We're going to evaluate it with the help of essay and objective type of questions. Okay, essay and objective type of question, because they have understood the facts, right? So they can actually answer the MCQs. Okay, and teaching becomes highly systematic actually with this particular understanding level of teaching. So we need a preparation, we need presentation, we need comparison, generalization, and then application. So these are required for understanding level of teaching, not just memorizing, but understanding the principles and the facts which has been told to them. Lastly, we have reflective level of teaching. Okay, RLT, reflective level of teaching, proposed by Hunt. Now, Hunt says that reflective level of teaching is the highest level of teaching when we compare with that of a memory level and the understanding level. That is the highest level. That is why it's kept in the top. Correct? So now it adopts a problem-centric approach. Like problem-centric, when we talk about, we have two things. Okay, problem-centric, we have two things. One is problem raising and problem solving. Probably in the real life situations. So problem-centric, and which is having two phases, that is problem raising and problem solving. Okay, so students are expected actually to employ a research approach to solve the problem. Okay, research approach. And because of that, right, the classroom is being open to the students. Like the environment actually gives an openness and independence, because they're going to motivate the learners to be active and to use their brains to have a research kind of approach to the life, to the learn whatever informations they have got, and they solve the problems. They raise the problem and they solve the problem also. Okay, they reason it. Any kind of information which is given to them, they reason it, they find a logic to it, they imagine it, and then they put it on the real life situation so that it is going to be helpful. Okay, so that is about the reflective type of learning. So how are we going to evaluate them? We're going to evaluate with the help of essay questions, and along with that we have to assess the attitudes, we have to assess the beliefs and the involvement of the student. Okay, so this is about the levels of teaching: memory level, understanding level, and reflective level. Okay, so today we have dealt with a little about what is the concept of teaching, what do you mean by teaching, a little of the nature and characteristics of teaching, coming to the objectives of teaching, quite an important. Remember about the specific, outcome oriented and measurable one, and the primary, secondary and tertiary. Okay, they're going to help you out in a long standing. And then about the two classifications, that is a Bloom's classification and a Gagne's classification, which we are going to see in the upcoming videos. Next one is about the levels of teaching, wherein we learned about the memory level, understanding level, and the reflective level. Okay, these were the things we have learned today. So with this, I'll wind up for this particular topic. We'll come back and we'll be learning more about many the topics which is there in your syllabus. Okay, so thank you for watching this session. Please stay updated with our upcoming classes and new video uploads, and make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so that you will receive notifications whenever a new class is posted. Thank you.